I've been on a quest to understand who the Lord is. And the reason is because I believe that Noah is an ancestor of the pharaohs. And the pharaohs are native African people. The Lord was clear in the Bible. It's clear that the Lord or God, whichever one was speaking at the time, that his prophets said, the Lord is going to disperse Egypt, Ethiopia, and then mention some other areas. And I am reminded that the Lord said, was after the Amalekites for 400 years, the Lord sought to destroy the Amalekites. And because of that, and because some of our early preachers were unaware, in my opinion, that of ancient culture being taken out of Africa and brought over here, eventually your descendants are going to forget where they came from, what that culture was like. And in keeping with the topic of whether or not people should be able to receive certain information, I want to tap into one of the reasons it might be good to share that information is because the people who came here from Africa, if the elders withheld that information from them, then you have what I heard a lady on TV say is the lost people. They're the lost ones, which I totally don't believe we're lost at all, but that's what the lady said. And I'll get into that another time. But back to the topic at hand, this Lord held grudges. And if we believe that this was a spirit, right, then that spirit was operating and speaking to various people for 400 years. Oh, yeah, by the way, take out the Amalekites. Remember what they did. Okay. Oh, take out the Amalekites. Remember they did this, that, and the other. In my opinion, that is not a spirit that is operating. That is a group of priests that come in and represent a certain deity, a certain spirit from the old world. And they have records. It's very important to know that the ancient people wrote down everything. And this was a part of the problem that Jesus had, was that some of the things that they were saying were they were adding on to stuff that wasn't already there. Okay. And we're not talking about the Bible because we know the Bible is not that book that Jesus was interacting with. But oral history versus written history, okay, is another question of mine, something else to consider here. If there was written history, then every priesthood, the people that came in to take over for Moses, or the people that came in to take over for the people who were over Moses, if he had a level of priesthood over him, would know when they come into that office, okay, oh, by the way, they're still here. Get rid of the Amalekites. And because I am aware, and listening to TV and whatever, that the news and stuff, that the old world is still carrying out some of these ancient traditions, like throwing stones at people. There are people who are still doing these things. And if this is going on in the ancient world, that means that the same thing can apply to my ancestors, your ancestors, kind of like the Hatfields and the McCoys. They don't like each other. And after a while, people tend to forget why. You're just mad. You just don't want to deal with each other. But it's one thing to not want to deal with each other because I don't want to mess with you. It's another thing when you're still carrying out a grudge trying to hurt people after decades or hundreds of years. And this is where I become concerned about and curious about who this Lord of the Old Testament is, because if the Egyptians of the Bible are the ancestors of a certain group of African people, that means that that priesthood is still out here. That priesthood is still operating, and it's hidden because the name of the deity that I believe is responsible for the diaspora of the people of the Bible, and the diaspora of the Africans from a certain group of Africans, is defined as hidden. That's the definition. And this name is the last name in the book of Revelation. And one thing that I found out, thanks to online school, is when a book introduces the characters at the beginning, and generally it ends with those characters. And that is something to consider when the people put this Bible together. Okay, this is not a new concept of how books should be written. And so I think it's important to understand, to find out for sure who this Lord is. Thank you for listening.